Hello, this is 1 mana left. We're at the end of Affliction League, and I'm doing a bit of a fun project here. So I decided to do kind of a cheap character for 3 reasons. One, obviously, just kind of have fun, screw around, whatever, and see if I can do a budget Uber killer. For context, the end of Affliction League is probably the most inflated the game has ever been. Everything costs an enormous amount. Like, I paid 6 divines for a tainted oil just to get an anoint on my amulet, where normally those cost about 40 chaos. But I decided, even with this crazy inflation, let's try to make a cheap-ish character, and I made this for 34 divines. I think most leagues this would cost like 6 divines, but my gear is not that great, is what I'm getting at. But I'm going to see if I can kill some Ubers with it. I've already killed most or all of them pretty comfortably with this build. I'll try to show some of that here. The second reason is the build I played this league was cast when channeling Archmage, and it was an insanely powerful build. It does billions, if you really wanted to, tens of billions of DPS. I had 35k energy shield, and as far as like non-void Valdo's maps, it was probably the best build in the game by a pretty significant margin. Steve played it to rank 2 Delve. He was rank 1 for a while. Very, very strong setup. But the downside to that setup is it has a bare minimum amount of mana it needs to work, and that's about 12,500. If you can get to about 12.5k with a 60% Indigon, you can make the build work. But below that, you can't make the build work. You can't even play the build before you have about 12.5k mana. So I thought I would come up with a different method of playing a reverse snapshot skill using a different setup that does the opposite in a sense. This setup does not work after about 12.5k mana. It stops working. It works up until that point, and then it stops. So I'm at about the highest mana I can get before it starts to break down. But I'll go more over the setup after I do a little bit of demonstration. So the third reason I wanted to do this setup is because this league, Penance Brand Dissipation was super powerful. But it's for sure going to get nerfed. The only question is how much. If it's nerfed by 30%, sweet. I'll play it again. Whatever. It'll be one of the strongest skills. It's a strong skill for everyone, but it's an especially strong skill for Archmage because it's a brand that has duration damage, that's lightning damage, and lasts more than 4 seconds, which is the Indigon damage window. So for the whole reverse snapshot Archmage setup, Penance Brand, even if it got nerfed to the point where other people stopped using it, it would still probably be the strongest mana skill, or for Archmage at least. But if it gets nerfed by more than 65%, then there's a few contenders that could take its spot. Be it Blade Vortex, Cremation of the Volcano, maybe Firestorm Pelting, but one of the candidates is Galvanic Field. So I'll go more over the setup in a little bit, like I said, but basically the way this works is I'm using Crackling Lance Disintegration to get an 85% shock. I could use like Enhance for like a way bigger shock, but for this setup, we're budget. I can't afford a good Enhance, so I'm just going to use no Enhance for an 85% shock, and we'll make do. The build works pretty simply in terms of playstyle. You shoot your beam and you get a field because of the trigger mod. And that all works within the same cast. The same cast casts the trigger, casts Galvanic Field, registers the shock, and generates the field in one cast. I'll show you a little bit here. Alright, hopefully I don't get like terrible mods, but let's do an Uber Cortex. I have Uber Cortex and Uber Shaper selected, so I'll try to do one of each here and kind of show it off. Alright, what do I have here? Powerful crits, poison. Well, the powerful crits mod's terrible because it kind of double dips on the double mod effect, so that's really bad. But maybe I'll make do. Like I said, you kind of just cast Crackling Lance, and then it just does the field. Like that's the gist of it. All right. That rare died really fast. It's not a speed demon the way I have it set up. Remember, this is like super budget. I'm doing Uber content. I'm not a speed demon right now. I'm just we'll struggle our way to victory here. The play, like I said though, despite this setup not being like insano gear, you cast, you get a bubble. The end. Alright, well let's see if on the double dip crit mod I can make do here.
What secrets are you hiding?
We might have a death or two. I'm not looking to crush these, I'm looking to just win, you know. That 84 multi with like 50% crit chance is not looking too fun. Oh yeah, that does a lot of damage. This beam's probably going to kill me, just to be clear here. Okay, I got the other one. Oh, look at that. There we go. We got damage. Oh, I should do Wrath, actually. Let me do Wrath. So that was reasonable damage, but that was no Wrath. I'll do Wrath on these guys. Oh, he stunned me. Well, that's not good. Okay, that was not great. This whole setup's not going great. My cost too high? No, we're good. I'm not stun immune, so I keep getting stunned mid-cast. Ah, this character's such a dumpster. Alright. The damage is okay. I got like I don't have the right setup. I have like 11 or 14 mil, something like that. Alright, add phase. I'm gonna go back to Grace. Got Mana Siphoner, which is actually not that terrible for this build. But dying's terrible inside an ice prison. I do get 85 shocks on pretty much everything. I have like plus 340 shock effect or something. It's pretty crazy. I'll go over it in a little bit. But when you see me do the Uber Shaper, I can 85% shock Uber Shaper. Don't you worry about that. Oh, I double cast. That's not good. Okay, well, I screwed up my damage there because of a double cast. Probably going to die to a beam here. I died. Okay, yeah. Okay. I screwed that whole thing up because I double cast. That's dumb. Well, I didn't have Wrath on either. I said I'd probably have a death or two. That's fine. And I immediately come back into a beam. Okay, well, that was correct damage there. Did not screw up the... See? Alright, that now we're doing better. I tanked that pretty easy. Alright, that was a little more reasonable. That double crit mod's still annoying. Alright, that should be a good damage burn here. Okay, that was bad. I'm probably dead here. Getting a little sketchy. Okay. Did I win? I think I won. One more cast. Oh, easy. Okay. One death. Like I said, this isn't like I'm going to absolutely crush these bosses thing. But my gear is a trash can, and these are Ubers. I've seen worse budget builds. 7% armor. Oh boy. Oh, multi-prod speed lightning damage. We got a spark wand. Look at that. Any spark controllers? All right. Oh, let me get back out of there. Okay. I'm gonna talk about the build now, and then I'm gonna do the shaper. How about that? So, right now, I'm using a trigger mod from Betrayal. Not the crafted mod that's 8 seconds, but the actual one from Veiled Chaos or Aisling. And I'm using this with Galvanic Field in a staff. So every 4-second cooldown, I can see the cooldown here. If I cast a Crackling Lance, what happens is the cast initiating triggers the Galvanic Field that gives you the mod. It doesn't go away until you shock something, but in that same single cast, I get the buff, I shock something, and it creates the field all in one cast. So I just cast once every 4 seconds, and it makes my big bubble. Let's see if I have... Oh, Archmage is off, that's why. There we go. Alright, like I said, I have like 14 mil boss damage. This is regular, yeah, standard boss. Okay. With like a 2k spend and 11k cost, something like that. So the trigger mod doesn't work in Path of Building. It's redded out here, so I added it in manually. But it double dips on the Archmage effect, because what happens is it's this setup is actually not using Arcane Cloak. That's where it kind of differs from a lot of my setups. It's using just the initial cast itself of the skill to give you Indigon stacks that then will multiply it. But it double dips in that sense because it's 2.5 times cost to get you the more Indigon stacks, 2.5 times more. And then the 2.5 times multiplier stays on the cost multiplier for the Archmage benefit. So all I have to do is cast it once, and now you'll see here the cost is like 9,000, which I can go up to, if I cast twice, it's like 10,000, I can go up to 11.4, so I can cast 3 times before it's, 11.1, yeah, so I get like 4 casts before I go over if I don't screw anything up. But the rest of the setup is like pretty normal, where I'm stacking mana, I'm getting my pool, and everything's kind of automated with this setup. I'll link the POB, but pretty much I have this just for shock effect, where I have Unbound Ailments and then Overcharge with Crackling Lance. Those are really the ones that matter. Like I said, I could add Enhance to this if I really wanted to. That would give me bigger shock. If I had a higher budget setup, I would add like a level 4 or maybe even a level 5 Enhance. And then I could get like 102% shock instead of 85, which makes, bigger radius, all that fun stuff. It's more fun. But I crafted this on an Eventuality Rod, and I'm using Relicash because they're cheap right now. But this setup is not really needed at all. I just wanted to test this out, Graven Secret plus Relicash, and then I used Eventuality Rod because I wasn't going to use a battery staff. So I wanted to try this tech out, but after playing it, I don't even necessarily think it's the best, because I PUB'd using a Stygian Vice with percent attributes, and then a pair of rare boots that wasn't even the Abyssal Socket pair I usually craft every league, just a res, strength int, fractured mana, that's it. And it was like 18k energy shield and like 12.5k mana. So it was like 20% more energy shield, no, more than that. But like, I lose the regen, right? Like that's the only downside is I don't get the Graven Secret regen, which isn't even always up. I guess the other thing too is like I'll show you on this shaper I'm about to do. It's not even up all the time. Like I don't. Here, let me switch the points around to what I had before for the other setup. I'll just go this. Yeah, like, on the actual dangerous parts, like the Shaper Bullet Hell, it's oftentimes not even up. Like, I don't even have siphoning charges, because the Relicash doesn't give you, or the absorption charges, it only gives you, like, the regular power and stuff. So, like, then this setup kind of has to use power charge on critical to get the absorption charges, which kind of sucks, because, like, Ellie Focus is better, like, a lot better, because this can't shock anyways, so it's, like, This is like 20% more damage, which makes up for the frenzy charges already. So I played this 3-piece setup just to test it out. I wasn't necessarily thrilled with it. I think if I built this again, I would just go Stygian with percent attributes, rare boots, battery staff maybe, or even just like any other staff with block, whatever. Doesn't matter. So don't look at this and be like, oh yeah, Relicash are gonna get nerfed, or Relicash are gonna be 5 divines next league. Don't use Relic. If they stay cheap, I think it's a good budget option maybe. It's different, but this is not a required thing for the setup at all. I only bought this because this was all like 30 chaos. If this was even 2 divines, I would not use Relicash. Let me show you this Uber Shaper. So I talked a little bit about the fact that the normal setup only works when you have 12.5k or more mana. That's because the way the Archmage setup works is, see, this is Uber, 70% damage reduction, and I can 85 Shock Shaper. I'll show you. But that's a 79 on the first hit, which doesn't have shock on it. 85 on that. I screwed up the cost, didn't I? But the reason it doesn't work until you get about 12.5k mana is because Archmage double dips your spend with mana. So if you double your mana, you double the base cost because of it being percent mana based with Archmage. 85 shock, easy, even with 70% damage reduction. 85 shock, easy. So if I take 10k mana and I have my cost at 5k, if I double my mana to 20k, my cost doubles because of Archmage being percent based, but then my Indigon stacks double as well. So doubling your mana with the Archmage setup makes the cost go up by 4 times. So if having 10k mana made something cost 5k with Indigon, going up to 20k mana, it would cost 20k. Going up to 40k, it would cost 80k. So because of that effect, you need to get at least like 12.5k for the Archmage caster channeling setup to work. But the opposite effect happens too. If you get too high, you can't get any lower past a certain point. So having a skill, like having the current penance brand setup, it's hard to get to the floor. But with this setup, with like the 250, like the 2.5 times multiplier applying twice, it's the opposite. It's really hard to not, like you by default have enough mana, like automatically. It's that when you get too much mana, it stops working. Because what happens is your cost goes from being like in that just right zone to now it's actually too high. So like 12k mana is like the absolute limit for this. It's a little difficult to explain without like showing it in POV or something. But if you played around in POB,
this is your final warning.
I'll show you here, right? 11.2k mana. Watch this. Alright. But then the spend would also go to 4,000. So it would go to 41k. As opposed to having a 2k spend without this mod, it's 11k. Alright, let's do a shaper.
My hand again, little mouse. So be it. You've chosen to side with chaos. This is my world, and you shall obey my order.
I'll try to face tank a little bit. Like, I won't go full face tank, but I'll try to do more than just like, you know, okay, that was maybe about the most I'll do. That was like 6 balls and a slam. Okay. I'll try to be moderately face tanky. There you go. Alright. I didn't eat everything because I'm a trash can of gear. But I can tank. I think I tanked both slams there, and I think I tanked like half the balls. Technically, if I had a little more gear with absorption charges at full, it makes it really easy to tank all the balls because, like, if you can live the initial volley, you get your recoup ramped high enough that you could just bathe in all of them with all the recoup. But I only have 75% recoup. If I was a little more leaned into it, I would maybe have like some power charge duration or generation. And I'd get like 2 more charges I could get on the tree. I'm not taking any of the charges on the tree. I could get an Indigon with +1 and get up to 8. That would give me 120% recoup. Which would probably mean if I had like 120 recoup and like 17k ES, I could probably stand still in the middle of like 4 clones. Just having them all use balls, and I could just tank all of them. But the current setup's fine for the budget setup.
Behold the face of your unmaking.
See if I can do the emerald now.
The horror must be stopped. Obstacles destroyed.
See if I can get 85 shocks on him. $53. No. Okay. I'm right on the border of being able to get 85 shock. I've definitely done it multiple times, just not super consistent. That one didn't crit. 66. 79. 85, there it is. 85 again. Tank the slam. Alright, let's go. Yeah, look, consistent 85. Look at that. With a 70% damage reduction on Uber Shaper. Ah, okay. I was gonna try to do that without using Vault Discipline the whole fight. Oh, I don't have Wrath on. Oh, I was doing that with Grace on. Hold up. So that was 85 shock with Grace. Oh, I did that without Wrath. Okay. Yeah, so damage would have been way nicer there. Wrath's got a little bit of niceness to it too, because it makes you shock bigger. Tank the slam. It makes you shock bigger. And then it makes obviously the damage more. So like it kind of double dips just how shock works with Galvanic Field. I probably could have had him phase there if I'd had Wrath on. Oh, I double cast. Whoops. Well, like I said on the Cortex though, like I'll try to do some phase tanking. I'll try to phase him fast, but I'm not here in this amount of gear to just crush him. If I put on an extra 100 divines, we'd just one-shot him with one field, but well, I'd use a battery staff too, and then we'd really one-shot him with one field. But yeah. I could have also just pressed Vol Discipline. I was trying to be stubborn and not use it. But Vol Discipline lives that easy. It's also nice because watch this. It's a setup that doesn't use any auras on the weapon. So if I want, I can phase run and just phase run to the end of the thing, and then swap back. You know, like skills that don't have to use like a Prism Guardian that can just phase run are always nice. Oh. What? It did the field on the stupid ad. Oh, that's so dumb. Some ad came in and ate the field buff. Well, that went less than ideal. Alright, I'm gonna put Wrath back on and go for the speed kill. Everything up to this point was a mulligan. This is where we actually test our DPS.
To save the future,
Big damage time.
must be sacrificed.
Alright, big damage, big damage. No, you coward! It was big damage time. Okay, what are we we're fine. Shock. Alright, what's he at? Like 20? Alright, well. Eat them all! Alright, we're fine. Face tank. My cost is off, right? Yep, I double cast. Alright, easy enough. Okay. I wouldn't say I crushed that by any means, but, like, you know, my character is a human dumpster. Like, look at my larges. Look at my large cluster jewels. Like, I'm just using 2 passive large clusters, because 3 passive larges this league cost, like, 5 divines. I know I'm using all 100 talent points here, but, like, I'm wasting, like, 4 just on larges. Alright. So, quick review. The whole setup is automated into 1 cast of Crack Lance. You cast the Crack Lance, it triggers the mod, it uses Galvanic Field. In that same cast, the shock from the Crack Lance that's boosted by overcharge, ailments, whatever, gets like an 85 shock guaranteed. I could use Enhance and get even bigger shocks for a bigger field with more damage, all that fun stuff. And then, because of the Archmage effect, and then the double dip on the cost, it makes the Galvanic Field cost almost our entire mana pool. And yeah. See, my shock scaling here is shock duration plus 161%. Shock effect, 344%. I'm using the plus 15 mod here, and then the increases to mana apply to shock effect here. And I've got, like, Overshock twice. So I've got a lot of shock effect. I will say the one, maybe 2 weaknesses of the build is, 1, the clear is a little weird because you have to kind of, like, move forward, like, one big screen, like, one screen at a time. It's not like Blade Vortex where you take the damage with you. You move forward, you cast a full screen field, it kind of clears everything, and then you move to the next screen. I'll do one final demo here. Let me go back to that other setup I had with the different cost. No, hang on. What was my other floater point? Oh, this guy. Is that right? I'll do a delve node here. No, it's too much. Oh yeah, I have to ditch the cost, or ditch this guy. Alright. I'm gonna do 1 delve node. Now, this whole time I've been using my dumpster gear. I didn't buy another that which was taken. I just bought this for, I think, 2.5 divines. I want to show a delve demonstration, but to do delve really well, you need to have instant leech. That's kind of a given. I don't have instant leech on this charm. I could, I guess, just take the 4 talent points, but if you want to disqualify this demonstration because I used my good that which was taken, because it's got instant leech on it, you're welcome to, so be it, whatever. But yeah, I'm using my good instant leech shot which was taken, so take that for what you will. But let me do a node at, like, I don't know, let's think about this, like 7, let's do like a 750 node, something like that. When I league start delve, like 600 delve is like pretty hard but pretty good profit. If you can get to 600 depth, you're making money. But the content's hard. Like, I have people play Mjolnir who, they start to gear things up, they get the build together, and then they get to like depth 450 or 500, and they're like, man, I'm struggling. I want to get to 600 where like the good money is, but it's just starting to get hard around 500. That's typical. Most builds are going to struggle a little bit around that. But like, it's legitimately hard to do like depth like 600 with low gear. This is what is, once again, probably most leagues, like 6 to 10 divines of gear. I'll do a 736 Azurite node. How about that? Just to see how this goes. So, depth 736. Let's see how this goes. Oh, hang on. Let me restart this. I don't have I'm missing Grace. Let me find that one more time here. There we go. There we go. Grace is better than Wrath for Delve. Remember that. So I'm going to employ the strategy of run to node. We're just running here. I could stop and kill stuff, but I'm just here to run right now. Alright. Let's see how depth 736 looks with some dumpster gear. It should pretty much kill everything instantly. And, you know, that's pretty good. Got a rare. Is that the last one? Yep. There we go. Alright. There's an Azurite node at 736. Okay. Honestly, that feels pretty comparable in power to Mjolnir for, like, the same budget. It's a little clunky. It's not as refined of a build as Mjolnir is. I'm kind of maybe ironing out a little bit, but I thought I'd share this demo of a different trigger mechanism for a different skill. I want to make stuff like this just to keep it in mind, because if the 324 patch notes come out and there's something that stands out, either something with the new league mechanic, some new borrowed power, or some like buff or change, some new transfigured gem, whatever, that really makes Galvanic Field smoother or stronger, it's nice to have some experience in it to then maybe theorycraft and build like some, like, you know, even stronger build. Like, there's a non-zero chance that however 324 patch notes shake out, that some version of Galvanic Field could be like the end game build replacement for Penance Brand. It's possible. It might need one or two conditional things to happen right now, but I like keeping other skills like this in mind, and just kind of theorycraft them as we get more and more patch notes. Like if you watched my pre-323 video on Penance Brand that I recorded in the previous league in Total League, that build looked pretty ghetto. But that evolved into what became the Caster and Channeling Archmage build, which is absolutely insane now. So it had a lot of refinement, a lot more power added to it, a lot of theory crafting. But I figured I'd share this, and I think I've killed all the Ubers. I didn't do them all in this video, obviously, but I can pretty comfortably do all the Ubers with like 0 to 2 deaths on this setup. So hopefully 323 patch notes teasers start getting here soon. And I'll keep some fun ideas like this in consideration. I'll catch you guys next time.